I think that a lot of women say they want a nice guy as a test. It was an attempt to socially condition many men in Generation X, including myself, into becoming white knights when many women went on national television in the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s to talk about how bad their men were and what they wanted in a guy. Back then, many of us men were too young to understand what a test was. As a result, rather than comprehending the true motivations of the women we heard speak, we took their words at face value. I didn't even know what a test was when I took it. However, I subconsciously passed it by because I decided I would not become a nice guy and would instead concentrate on my outward appearance at that young age. My body and clothing would be how I would convey my beliefs and values. I may have subconsciously realized that nice guys will get women's attention if they have other valuable physical or financial qualities. If they are well-dressed, have attractive bodies, or perhaps had a lot of money. They only mean a nice-looking man when they say they want a nice guy, not a nice guy who acts nice. When it comes to many men, there is frequently a disconnect or issue with communication between acting nice and looking nice. It would appear that the majority of men interpret the word nice in terms of their actions rather than their appearance. When I was in high school, rather than focusing on who I was, I focused more on how I looked. My conduct would frequently be criticized by both men and women. However, I would still end up with girlfriends in the end, whereas guys with nice attitudes but average appearances would frequently remain single for life. With a great personality, it doesn't take much work for a man to look average, and 70 to 80% of men in our society today look average. However, I'd wager that a man needs the majority of his day to dress well and earn the means to look above average. But at the same time, putting his efforts into things in the physical world causes his inner mental life to suffer. A man won't be able to find that personal balance unless he carefully plans his day to focus his limited energy on both his personality and appearance. However, if a man chooses to remain single, he can focus on creating a rich and meaningful inner life for himself. It's likely necessary to work on both for those who continue to date and seek companionship. Additionally, I believe that some women are perplexed by the concept of a nice guy. Similar to how some men do not comprehend that women frequently put them through tests to be nice, they receive mixed signals. Some women are unaware that the board collective's directives come from them in the same manner. As a result, many women encounter difficulties in relationships. Because they are misinterpreting what other women and cultures are saying in general, women may attempt to turn a perfectly fine man who appears to be successful on the outside into a sappy man if they are not intelligent enough to understand what a nice guy means to the female mind. I was a man who spoke his mind when I was in my last relationship. My personal life suffered as a result of the fact that for the majority of my life, I defined my identity based on how I looked on the outside. I would exercise and stay fashionable. The way I looked and the money I made helped me define it. I based it on the opinions of others rather than on my perceptions of the world. For me to behave better in public outings with her and her friends, my ex-spouse persuaded me to attend therapy and begin working on my inner self. Additionally, I now believe that my impulsive and unchecked behavior embarrassed her because it made her nervous to be around her friends when I was with her. As a result, rather than relying on the world to define me, I began focusing more on becoming the nice guy I wanted to be and less on how I looked on the outside. I stopped talking about myself, working out, and being fashionable, and I became more passive. I began concentrating on unidentified issues and attempting to address those issues instead. In addition, this brought about brand new issues that I had no idea existed. I changed to suit my partner and stopped caring about my old values. The excellent guy test failed me. I prioritized my outward appearance over my rich and meaningful inner life during my most recent long-term relationship. In the hope that she would want those qualities and find me more attractive, I let her train me to be a nice and thoughtful guy. Instead, it did the opposite, and I noticed that we were drifting apart. In the beginning, I had characteristics that she was drawn to, but now I have characteristics that make her feel worse about us. Your ego and self-confidence will soar when you pretend to be a man, and you will also attract more women to yourself. You can start to believe what you want and make it happen. Your success frequently becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because confidence attracts others. When you talk highly of yourself, the strategy backfires when you are too old or when you surround yourself with people who think you are a tyrant. But most of the time, you can do whatever you want if you act on your own and don't hurt anyone else. I don't see anything wrong with you acting politically incorrect. Many women find this to be an attractive quality in a man, particularly if he is attractive. Louis Marco is another person I want to talk about. He shows us that he has 20 matches with various women in their 20s, which is interesting because he probably posted pictures of himself on Tinder. He is muscular and in the best shape of his life, and I believe he is in his late 30s or early 40s. Big muscles attract a lot of attention from women on Tinder because they look like curves on a girl. If he were just a nice guy with average looks, would he receive the same number of responses and matches? Most likely not. I believe that if a man puts a lot of effort into his appearance by working out, dressing well, and owning expensive items, it tells a woman subconsciously that he is not a nice guy. Instead, he is aggressive and willing to step on other people to get ahead and get all of those material possessions, even if he has done it legitimately, like Louis Marco building his YouTube channels and probably making a lot of money from them anyway. As a result, in my own life right now, I'm attempting to strike a balance between expanding my physical financial situation and maintaining my rich inner life. I talk more about myself and permit myself to be harsh, if people are entitled to such conduct. At the same time, to demonstrate my masculinity once more, I must become more boastful if I ever want to attract women. I've decided to sometimes show off my products on dates, but I put them in a pretty box, tie a bow around them, and push them to women. I know that's what it takes to cause the tingles when I go out on those dates, but I also know what I need to be happy with who I am inside, and I have a wonderful balance between the two. However, I frequently have to conceal the fact that I am a nice guy on the inside when I speak to a woman. She will walk all over me otherwise. In addition, if I have reason to believe that they are attempting to exploit me, all I have to do is project narcissism, and they will conclude that I am, in fact, a macho, self-assured, confident man. I won't take advantage of him as a result. Additionally, they'll consider the possibility that he shares their sense of self-worth. As men navigate the world, we sometimes need to put on a show and fool ourselves into thinking that, if we can accomplish that, we will be able to transition from being the nice guys who won the previous category to projecting a completely different persona onto several women who are unaware that we have rich inner lives as opposed to simply projecting rich value on the outside. On the other hand, women are more likely to value their inner selves more than the image of themselves that they project onto others. That is one of the grim and terrifying realities of our time. Anyways, how a woman would like to receive flowers is probably depicted in the final image in the sequence of images for this particular video. For the flowers to not obscure her view of him, she wants a muscular man to wear a Hawaii lei around her neck. Flowers have always seemed to me to be a waste of money and a way to cover up a man's shortcomings. Today, as I was driving, I heard an advertisement for a florist that said men buy flowers to get out of the doghouse. And most of society agrees that the flowers are there as a gesture of remorse or as something that men are culturally expected to do for women. Even though they say they do, most women don't care about cultural expectations. Additionally, if they truly care about cultural expectations, they cannot comprehend what the group is putting them through. After all, the test that the board collective puts women through has the potential to fail. And that is the last kind of woman you would want to date or talk to if they could fall for it. I also had a very hard time finding photos for this video where the females looked happy when they got flowers from the males. You can see in the pictures that were taken earlier that they appear to be shy and aren't making eye contact with the men in the pictures. The only female in the picture that looks happy is the little girl in the photo, which looks like she was inspired by Kim Anderson, a well-known children's photographer. Additionally, Kim is Keith Kim Anderson. However, considering that the subjects of his photographs are young children, I am confident that keeping his name gender-neutral makes women feel at ease. In addition, the woman appears genuine happiness in the final image, which features her lying around her neck next to the muscular man. Therefore, women's body language when receiving flowers can frequently reveal what women think of nice guys, even in these photo sets.